Yes, I'm seeing cell phones. Please switch off all the cell phones. I don't want to come and sit with issues of dealing with cell phones. Please switch off all the cell phones, unless it's absolutely necessary for you to use it, but then you seek permission. All right. Yes, you may proceed, Mr. Son.
Mr. Kanyangela, we've been through this already, that you have seen Mr. Shangala's affidavit in support of the bail application. Sorry. Did you not hear the question?
I have seen the affidavit.
Yes. I just want you to please look at paragraphs 9 to 13, please. And I just want to place this on record that Mr. Shangala, in support of his bail application, says that denying him bail will cause the violation of his fundamental rights. And he says, if I can just ask you, there are matters of fact, and if there's an opinion you want to give, that's fine. It says at paragraph 10, he was arrested on the 27th of November 2019. That's correct, isn't it?
That's correct.
And then the affidavit is somewhat dated. It was in November last year. So as at now, it is 2 years and 3 months since his arrest. Can we accept that as a fact?
Yes.
And you, just having regard, I'm just looking at paragraph 11 now, you, together with my learned friends for the state, strenuously opposed bail. I mean, you were quite passionate, and I'll come to that in a moment, but you opposed bail being granted.
That's correct.
Right. And in paragraph 12, he says that if he is denied bail, it would lead to the violation of his rights, and says in terms of, he says in paragraph 12.1, in terms of the Constitution, Article 7, no person may be deprived of his personal freedom except according to procedures established by law. Then he says, in terms of Article 8, no one may be subjected to cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment. And effectively what he's saying is keeping him in custody for such a long period constitutes cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment. And he says that he is entitled, in terms of Article 12, to a fair trial, and you, as the ACC, and my learned friends as the prosecuting authority, are required in terms of Article 5 of the Constitution to respect those rights. And he says that in paragraph 13, he says that effectively the presumption of innocence has come to mean nothing in the circumstances of this case, because his incarceration has extended for more than 2 years and 3 months. And Article 12 of the Constitution says that the trial must take place in a reasonable time, failing which the accused must be released. Now, is there any comment you want to make in regard to those matters?
Yeah, what I would like to comment. I would like to comment that
The accused persons are not just kept in custody for cruelty, as indicated in the statement, but looking to the time of which the accused persons commit such a crime or these corrupt activities is something that took them almost 9 years to commit such offenses continuously. And they make it difficult.
Have they been found guilty of having committed an offense?
Excuse me, my lord?
Isn't it still just allegation, and until a court pronounces itself? You are talking as if there is factual determination that they have committed the offenses.
Okay, they have committed the alleged offenses.
They are alleged to have committed the offenses.
Yes, my lord, but the decision have already made.
Who has made the decision? If there is a decision, then I don't need to sit. Because then they can just be sentenced. There is a decision, you are guilty,
Oh,
now
my
let's
lord.
go to jail.
I can say the accused persons, they did commit offenses.
Oh, okay, you have judged.
No, my lord.
So who has judged? Mr. Kanyangela, who has judged?
There's no judgment made. But the information gathered and that had been submitted to the Prosecutor General to make a decision, there is proof that they have indeed committed offenses, although the judgment is not yet done.
Yes, there are allegations, as His Lordship has pointed out, and the allegations are made mainly by you.
Yes, this allegation I made, or I'm being made, that they have committed such offenses.
Right. Okay, so we know that. There are allegations on the one side, and that's the reason I wanted you to comment on this, because His Lordship must balance what the Constitution says against the allegations that you make to decide which side the question of bail should fall on. I just put that to you, and I'm going to come to the other issues you raised. Is there anything else you want to say in relation to the contention that denying bail will constitute, especially if they are found innocent, will constitute a violation of their rights?
Currently, I will stick to that their rights were not violated.
Okay, can I, and I don't want to take it because I can see my learned friend on my right-hand side itching to get up, so I don't want to make this a debate between us. But the allegation or the contentions made are, forget what has happened. This is a bail application. So the contention is, if at the end of these proceedings they are denied bail, then there would be a violation of their rights. That is what is being condemned.
I'm not agreeing to that contention.
Okay. All right. Now, can I then ask you, sir, to please look at paragraph 70 of the affidavit, which appears at paragraph 34 of Mr. Shangala's application page.
Sorry, Mr. Soni. You're saying paragraph 13?
Sorry, my lord.
You spoke of two paragraphs
yes.
instead of a page in the paragraph.
Oh, sorry, my lord. It's page 34 from paragraph 70. I apologize.
Yes.
So, this is what Mr. Shangala says in regard to his personal circumstances. And I just want to point out to you, in paragraph 69, he points out that when a court is considering the question of bail, it takes into account a number of different sets of circumstances. So I'm dealing now with the first one, which is his personal circumstances. He says at paragraph 70, I suffer from hypertension for which I am required to take prescription medication daily. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware. I don't have such information.
Okay. You've had this affidavit from November last year.
No.
Sorry?
I never had it since last year.
So when did you have it?
Just few days prior to this bail application.
Okay. So,
Sorry, you are saying? Yes, you are granted permission? All right. Yes.
sorry, my lord.
No, there was a request
Yes.
for assistance
No.
with the technical issues. So I said she can text him
Yes,
herself.
I understood your lordship was going to ask a question relating to that.
Yes, yes. I hear you saying you got the affidavit a few days before the bail application.
I just read it through
No,
consultation.
did you hear what I asked? Listen to the question. The question was, when did you get hold of Mr. Shangala's affidavit? Your reply was, you did not have it since last year, November, but you only received it a few days before the bail application. Is it what you answered?
Just correct, my lord.
Now, do you remember that the application, I started hearing this application somewhere in mid-November? Remember, the last day of my sitting with the bail application was 30 November. I started on the 18th or 24th of, I sat for 2 weeks in November.
Yes, my lord. During that time, I did not get to receive this statement.
Yeah, now when did you get the,
It was just few days before I came to testify,
okay.
but I just also read through it during consultation, but it was not provided to me as a copy.
All right.
So, you remember you said to his lordship, there's a very strong case against the accused, you remember?
Yes?
Now, I take it that all those matters that you say constitute a strong case against the accused were properly investigated.
Yes?
Now, we'll come to your role in that in a little while. But surely when an accused person says that I am in custody for 2 years and 3 months now, I suffer from hypertension and I require prescription medication daily. Ordinarily, forget whether you knew about it or not. Is that a matter that you take into account?
I think this matter as I said, I did not have such information, and the accused persons are in custody where they are also being care of. When coming to medical issues, such information was not brought to my attention. I know there are some accused persons who used to speak to the Namibian police if they need or they are seeking medical attention. And these police officers used to be in contact with me just to let me know that there is a person who needs attention, medical attention. But in the case of Mr. Shanghala, there was no such information brought to me.
Is that your answer?
Yes.
So remember earlier on you were saying that the affidavit was brought to your attention in a consultation.
Yes.
With whom? Your consultation with whom?
With the prosecuting.
Yes. Now, I'm not going to ask you what happened in the consultation, but was this paragraph not read to you? That Mr. Shanghala suffers from hypertension and he requires prescription medicine daily.
I read it. I have read the paragraph.
So what happened at the consultation? I thought you said you didn't see the affidavit, it was read to you.
I read the affidavit during the date of the consultation.
On the day of the consultation?
Yes.
So you saw that allegation?
Yes.
You didn't decide that you needed to consider whether Mr. Shanghala is lying?
No, I did not.
But what you can't do, because you didn't investigate, is you can't dispute that.
I cannot dispute that.
And Mr. Kanyangela, this is not just a small thing. I'm going to suggest to you, and I'm going to put it in correct context at the right time, that has been the manner in which you have conducted this investigation throughout. Anything that could redound to the advantage of the accused, you have blinded yourself to.
I disagree with your statement.
Then let's just look at the next allegation that he makes. He says, I suffer from asthma and sleep apnea, which requires the use of a CPAP machine. Did you read that?
Yes, I read it.
You didn't make any inquiries. Let's not beat around the bush about that.
No, I did not.
Then he says, the clinic is not well equipped and obtaining permission from the ACC, who are hostile to me, has not been easy.
He was never hostile to me. He never approached me.
Let's just deal with
I
one.
don't know which ACC is referring you to, but he never approached me. He was
We'll
never
come
approached
to your hostility to him in a moment, Mr. Kanyangela. And I'm going to deal with that in a little while. But let me just deal with this. He says the clinic is not well equipped. Have you checked whether the clinic is well equipped?
I did not.
Now he says, and you were aware of this allegation before today certainly, because it was read to you or you read it when you consulted with my learned friends. Now, he says the ACC are hostile to him. Did you ask the ACC members under your command, why are you hostile to Mr. Shangala?
I don't know the hostile he's talking about.
Now, did you ask?
There was no anybody hostile against him.
Now, Mr. Kanyangela, let's get this straight. Are you going to answer the question or no? Did you ask?
I did not ask.
And then he says that these health conditions are exacerbated because he's been in custody and now we know it's more than 2 years. He says if he were granted bail, it would allow him to get access to medical services and a proper diet which he needs. But surely you must accept that as a proposition, a general proposition, not only relating to Mr. Shangala, but any human being.
Yes.
Then he says he's the father of 2 5-year-old children. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I'm aware.
You know his family, don't you?
I only know the father.
You come from the same area as him, don't you?
I don't know where he grew up, but now currently I know where his father's house is.
I'm asking a different question. You come from the same area as him?
Same region.
Yes.
Just assist me with the difference between area and region.
The area, how I understand it like in the same vicinity. All in the same surroundings.
And region?
And the region is Somsati region.
Sorry?
The Somsati region.
How far away from his family did your family or does your family live?
I think it's about 7 kilometers.
I ask you this. You know his family, don't you? Who his father...
I know the father.
Yes. And you know his aunt as well?
No.
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 Because,
I only know the father.
right. We'll come to that in a moment. Can I ask you, he says he has an aged father and grandfather who both depend on him. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware.
Did you make any inquiries?
No.
Doesn't affect you, does it?
No, it doesn't affect me.
Mr. Kanyangela, I have to say to you that is an unfortunate statement. It really is an unfortunate statement. But anyway, I'm placing my view on that on record. Now, he says that his lengthy custody, incarceration, is affecting their well-being. Are you aware of that?
Just from the statement, yeah.
You know the father, or you've heard of him. Did you make inquiries from him? Look, I understand your son is saying this. How are you feeling?
No, I did not make an inquiry with him.
Then he says that his lengthy period of custody means he's unable to perform his clan responsibilities for the greater Ihua, I apologize, my lord, Haidula and Shangala kin and folk. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of this.
Do you make inquiries?
I did not. Because I don't know who is Ihua, who is Haidula. I don't.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
I don't know who is Ihua and who is Haidula. I did not make any inquiry about it.
Yes. Then, in paragraph dealing with the next set of issues, he says he will stand trial. Now, you've indicated in your evidence that you do not accept that. But I'm just saying, he is saying on oath that I've been a faithful service of the country for more than 20 years in various capacities. Now, whether you accept faithful or not, you accept that he has served the country for more than 20 years.
Yes, he served the country, but not faithful.
Yes, no, I understand. He says he is not guilty and he intends to stand his trial. What do you say about that?
That is what he's saying. Every person can say that he will stand trial.
Just like every person can say, like you do, that you have a strong case.
Yes, I do have a strong case.
So he says he has no intention of absconding. You disagree?
I disagree.
He says that given international protocols, if he tried to flee the country, he won't be able to go far because of international protocols. Are you aware of international protocols relating to persons who hold political influence?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay. You didn't make any inquiries?
I did not.
You've come here to oppose bail. It's placed on record there is this international protocol, and you say, I didn't investigate.
I did not investigate that international protocol.
Yes. Then he says that his passport has expired. You're aware of that?
Yes, what he said in the statement.
No, I'm asking a different question. Did you look at his passport?
Yes, it have expired.
But why is it so difficult for you to just admit that to his lordship? Do you have an answer for that?
I said the passport have expired.
Why?
I look at it.
The question is, why is it taking you so long to admit anything that may favor Mr. Shangala?
I don't have an answer to that.
Yes. Then he says in paragraph 74, at the time Mr. Esau was arrested, this is now the first arrest which was found to be unlawful. This is on the 23rd of November. He was in Cape Town. He says, when he became aware that a warrant for his arrest was to be issued, he returned to Namibia and offered himself over to the ACC, having been told that you were investigating him. Is that correct?
It is not correct because he did not hand himself over to the ACC.
To whom did he hand himself over?
The ACC went to look for him and he was arrested at his
At his house.
farm.
Yes. Can I just ask you this? You're aware that he was in Cape Town and he returned?
Yes, I was away.
And he says if he had wished to evade justice, he would not have returned home. That must be a logical conclusion, isn't it?
Yes, if he could, by the time when he returned, although he knew that there was a warrant of arrest issued against him, he was not having any evidence of what the state have against him. All the evidence or the information in the case, in the cases he's facing. And by that time, they will still believe that we don't have any capacity to investigate such a case of such magnitude. That's why he returned back.
Where do you get that from? He didn't believe it. Where do you get the notion that he didn't believe you have the capacity?
It was based on the information that was found on the statement, on the device of James Atukuripi, who is also a co-accused in this matter.
Yes. So when Mr. James says something, you attribute it to Mr. Shangala.
They were
Mr.
all
Shangala.
working together. So
Yes. Yes.
yes.
Yeah. You know everything, Mr.
And they were
Kanyanga.
together when they go to South Africa.
Yes. But
Yes.
you know everything.
Not everything.
Now, his assets are frozen. We've been through that already. That's as a result of the restraint application that was brought.
Yes.
If he leaves, absconds, all his assets are gone. That would be a consequence, won't it?
Yes.
Then he says, I will not interfere with the investigations or with witnesses. And this is in paragraph 77 and 78. He says, I record on oath that I will not interfere with the investigations or state witnesses. Are you in a position to dispute that undertaking?
Well, I might still stick to that he might interfere with witnesses.
Yes.
Taking into account that why he is in custody. There was a time he wrote a letter which he posted to some of the Swapa Youth League members, asking them to demonstrate or to protest against the criminal justice, as he feels that their cases is not fairly handled. Somebody was arrested based on those information that was just, or which the information he passed to these people. They went to the extent of bribing somebody from the AR movement.
Sorry, Mr. Kanyangela, you say they. You know we're talking about Mr. Shangala now.
Yes, it was Mr. Shangala who wrote that letter, and he posted it.
We've been through that. That's what you said earlier. Now you then said they bribed somebody. So I'm just saying, confine your allegations
why I'm
to
saying
Mr.
they-
Shangala.
Yes, because Mr. Shangala was mentioned, and Mr. Thompson was also mentioned in that case.
Yes. This is bribing somebody.
Yes.
Was it a state witness?
He became now a state witness because of the case that was opened.
No. Please listen to me. When I'm talking, you say you oppose bail because he will interfere with witnesses.
Yes, he may interfere with the witnesses.
He may. I know you said that.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you this. The witnesses that you are now talking about are witnesses in a different case. Is that right?
That's correct.
So why do you try and create the impression in the mind of his lordship that he will interfere in witnesses in this case?
Because that case, it came up as a result of the case that we are dealing with now.
Okay. Yeah. You know, Mr. Kanyangela, before you can use your powers to deprive people of essential rights like freedom, you need to have proper information, and you need to be honest about how you present that information.
I think I'm honest with it.
Yes. But we now know that the witnesses that you are talking about are not witnesses in this case.
That's correct.
Yes. Now, can I then ask you, that's what he says. Can I then ask you to please look at paragraph 64 of Mr. Shangala's affidavit. Now, in this part of the affidavit, paragraph 64 to 68, Mr. Shangala deals with the restraint application, which we've talked about, and as I've made the point on several occasions, you supported that restraint application.
That's correct.
Right. Now, this is what he says, that the effect of the restraint order is that he and the other applicants, and I'm only dealing with the applicants that I represent now, are prohibited from dealing with any property, realizable property they hold. That's the effect of the court order, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Then in paragraph 65, he says that in the restraint, in the application for the restraint order, the Prosecutor General cited a total of 22 defendants. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then he says 6 of them are the accused here, 10 corporate entities and other entities. That's all correct. It's just general information. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Then at paragraph 66, he says, one of the reasons I deal with the restraint is to place on record what the Icelandic individuals have said in their answering affidavit. Okay. Now, I just want to go back so that we can deal with what they say. But let me ask you this. In the restraint, you've seen the answering affidavit in the restraint application, the answering affidavit of the Icelandic defendants?
I never saw it.
Okay. Now, you've read Mr. Shangala's affidavit, though.
Which one?
The one we are dealing with now, sir.
This one?
Yes.
Yes?
This one meaning the one we are dealing with.
Yes, I read it.
Yes. And you know, because it was read to you during your consultation, or you read it just before the consultation or during the consultation, you see here he says in this affidavit that he is going to be dealing with what the Icelandics say in their answering affidavit.
Yes?
And in opposing this application, this bail application, you've not read what the Icelandics say about this matter.
I did not read it.
I then ask you, please, to... Lord, may I just make this point? Lordship will see that Mr. Shangala in his affidavit says that the application in the papers in the restraint application should be considered for the purposes of this bail application. Obviously, not all the papers necessarily, but those that we refer to. So I want to refer the witness to what was said by the Icelandic witnesses in that application. And I don't need to show it to him. I'm going to read it. If there's anything incorrect in it, my learned friends will tell your lordship. Now, I just want to say to you, in their replying affidavit, which totals 108 pages, the affidavit is by Mr. Juliusson, Ingvar Juliusson. You know him? Or you've heard of him?
Yes, I heard of him.
This is what he says. At page 5, paragraph 3.2, and you must respond to anything you want to. At page 5 of his affidavit, paragraph 3.2, he says, the prosecutor's star witness, Prosecutor General's star witness is Mr. Stephenson. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes.
And that's a point you yourself made when you gave evidence.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Juliusson says, Mr. Stephenson is a self-confessed criminal. Now, you didn't see this affidavit.
I did not see the affidavit.
Okay. Can I ask you, are you hearing it for the first time, that such an allegation is made about your star witness?
That should be the first time here.
No, Mr. Kanyangela. I'm not asking what it should be.
I'm saying I'm not aware of the statement.
No, I'm making a slightly different point. Is it the first time that you've heard it being alleged that Mr. Stephenson is a self-confessed criminal?
Yes, it's the first time.
Okay. So we can take it that you didn't investigate that issue.
No, I did not investigate it.
Okay. Because Mr. Juliusson's evidence then becomes a lot more relevant to these proceedings. Because this is what he says, and I want to place on record, because we now have an allegation from Mr. Stephenson, and we have an allegation from Mr. Juliusson, and you haven't investigated this. So I want to put it to you, put it on record. He says, without Mr. Stephenson's evidence, there is no case whatsoever against the foreign defendants. This is what he says. What's your response to that? Foreign defendants being the Icelandic defendants.
There is evidence, or there is information.
Okay. But you've not examined it in the light of what Mr. Juliuson said. You're just saying it. Is that right?
Yes.
Then you say, I say without his evidence, because I want to point out that his evidence will be rejected in total once the courts grant the foreign defendants the opportunity to cross-examine him. That's what he says. That's his view. But I'm just placing that on record.
Yes, that is his view.
Okay. Now, is it not correct that last week in this court, in the High Court, there was an application by the foreign defendants to cross-examine Mr. Stephenson and the Prosecutor General? Was that not an application made in this court?
Yeah, there was an application. I read it from the newspapers.
And you know, if that application is granted, that application, as I understand it, has been postponed. But if that application is granted, then there are serious matters relating to your star witness before the trial even starts.
I don't think I have to comment on that.
Then he says, it is highly unlikely that Mr. Stephenson will come to Namibia to testify.
In his statement that he gave, he indicated that he's willing to come and testify.
Where is he? Sorry, let me take that back. I do not want to be seen to be exposing witnesses and so on. So let me take that back. I'm going to ask it in a different way. Do you know where he is, Mr. Stephenson?
I don't know where he is.
So you say in his statement, when was that statement made?
2019.
Sorry?
It was made during the year 2019.
About the time that the accused were arrested more than 2 years and 3 months ago.
Yes.
Have you been in contact with him since?
No.
Are you serious about that, Mr. Kanyangela? This is your star witness.
I'm not
and
in contact with him.
Sorry, let me finish my question, please. You get a statement from him in 2019. You tell his lordship, when you gave evidence, that he is your star witness. You admit that today. And between 2019 and now, you don't know. I mean, you've not been in contact with him.
No, I have not been in contact with
You
him.
don't even know where he is.
Yes, you are correct.
So what we do not know is whether, forget what the Icelandic people now say. What we do not know is whether Mr. Stephenson will come and give evidence or not, because you've not been in contact with him.
Even if he did not come or he come, we can still prove the case against the accused people.
Without your star witness.
Yes.
So let's then accept that his evidence is not crucial to your case.
It is crucial.
Oh. Now, at page 6, paragraph 3.2.8, Mr. Juliuson says, Mr. Stephenson knows that, he says that he will be convicted earlier, and then he says at paragraph 3.2.8, he knows that once he is convicted, and on his own version he will be convicted, he will go to jail for a very long time. What do you
That
say
is the
about
views of Mr. Julius, so I really don't need to comment on this.
But no, let me tell you why. On Mr. Stefansson's statements, he is an accomplice if there is a case against the
That's
accused
correct.
or some of them. An intimate accomplice. An accomplice whose evidence is quite crucial to the case you've presented in these files here. Well, certainly in the Ngoma file.
Yes.
So if he is convicted, he would be sentenced to jail.
Yes.
So the point that Mr. Julius makes, and of course anything can happen, is that there can be very little incentive for Mr. Stefansson to come and testify.
And that's the reason I'm saying, even without him, the trial can still go on. We still have witnesses who can prove our case.
Yes. Have you discussed the possibility that he won't come and testify?
We did not discuss it.
So how do you know that you still have a case if that possibility was not examined?
I say we still have a case.
You've said a lot of things, Mr. Kanyanga.
Yes.
Now, let's just deal with what you have from Mr. Stefansson. Because whether he comes or not, what he has said is going to be relevant. Now, is it correct that he's made 2 affidavits?
Yes.
And both of these were made on the 4th of June 2019.
I cannot confirm the real date now.
Okay, that's what Mr. Juliuson says here.
Okay.
And he says they were made at the Namibian embassy in Berlin, in Germany.
Yes.
Now, you're aware that there are 2 statements from him,
Yes, I'm aware.
made on the same day.
Like I say, I cannot confirm the exact date as to
No,
whether they
I
were done on the same day or not.
Oh, okay, so
But
that
I
too
know
you
there are
can't
2
confirm.
statements.
Okay.
Yes.
He says the allegations they contain differ materially. Are you aware of that? The allegations in Mr. Stefansson's affidavits.
You said they are?
I'm saying what Mr. Juliuson says. He says the allegations differ materially. In other words, there are contradictions between them, according to him.
I cannot confirm nor deny that. If they were contradicting.
Sorry, they were?
I don't know whether they were contradicting or they are contradicting.
But you've read them.
The statements I read,
And you didn't find them contradictory.
no.
Did you ask yourself why he would make 2 affidavits?
I did not.
So then at paragraph 12, Mr. Stefansson says, Mr. Juliuson says, Mr. Stefansson managed the Namibian business unit of Samaji from 2011 to 2016. Is that about right?
Yes.
He says he suddenly left the company to deal with serious mental health and substance abuse problems. Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not aware.
Okay, let me just ask you this, Julie. It is alleged that Mr. Stephenson has a substance abuse problem. Are you aware of that? That's the allegation that's made.
Yes.
Did you investigate that
No,
allegation?
I do not investigate.
Having an addiction problem or a substance abuse problem, he also has a mental health problem. Were you aware of that?
I don't have such information.
Okay. Does it come to you as a surprise that it's being alleged?
Yeah, the person who is alleging is a co-accused to the others.
Yes.
So in the case, so
When you say the co-accused, but he's not listed as one of the accused, Mr. Juliuson?
I know there was a time he was listed. If he's removed, I'm not aware.
Mr. Kanyangela, really, you are the chief investigator. You don't even know who the accused are in this matter. So what are you telling His Lordship?
I know.
So you knew he was removed from the list of accused persons?
That's why I said if he was removed, I'm not aware, but I know he was a co-accused. We apply a warrant of arrest against him. So,
Let me ask you this. Is he a co-accused now or no?
he's not yet charged on the matter.
You intended to charge him, is that not right?
Yes, correct.
You tried to get a warrant for him.
We have a warrant for him.
Yes, but the Icelandic people say they won't execute on that warrant.
Yeah, we are still waiting for their feedback to say so.
Yes, well, they say that they have information from the Icelandic prosecutor that they won't be extradited.
We don't have such a response from the Ministry of Justice who is dealing with the extradition.
But what we do know is this, that at the moment the Icelandic people are not accused persons.
Yes, because they are not yet charged.
But they are not accused persons.
Yes, they are not accused persons.
Right. Now, he says that Mr. Stephenson left Namibia in 2016 when he lost control of their Namibian operations, the Semaji's Namibian operations. Are you aware of that?
I know that he left in 2016, but I don't know the reason as to why he left.
Did you ask him?
I did not ask him. I say I did not get in contact with him.
So you've never been in contact with Mr. Stephenson?
No.
Who took the statements from him?
These statements were taken before I took over this investigation.
So it would have been before July 2019.
That's correct.
Effectively, we're looking at more than 3 years ago.
Yes.
Then Mr. Juliuson says that Mr. Stephenson has suddenly emerged as a whistleblower and seeking immunity for whatever he has done. Is that correct? That he confessed to doing wrong and asked for immunity?
Yes.
Did you grant him, or did the ACC or anybody grant him immunity?
I'm not aware whether there was any immunity granted.
So what we do know now, and what he should know, is that there is no decision yet on any immunity.
I'm not aware of that.
Lord, I just want to finish this, and then I'm sorry, man. So at paragraph 16, he then says, without any shadow of doubt, sorry, he is Mr. Juliuson, Mr. Stephenson has an overpowering motive for making false allegations against Samaji. Such behavior fits his character entirely. Now you are hearing that allegation for the first time, is that correct?
Yes, but the allegation he made, it led for us to uncover the corrupt activities that the accused just did.
You've heard my question.
I heard your question.
Will you answer it?
Yes.
What's your answer?
I answered it like that.
Sorry?
I said from his information he provided.
No, so let's not go back to what you've just said, because you didn't answer the question. Let me repeat the question for you.
Yeah, repeat it for me.
No, Mr. Kanyangela, you must show respect as a witness. I'm sorry. You can't adopt that approach. You are here to assist the court.
Just repeat your question.
No, I'm not going to just repeat my question.
Your Lordship, it's just a request for a question to be repeated. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The witness wants to answer the question. If he requests for it to be repeated, may it be repeated, Your Lordship.
Is it at times action speaks louder than words? The body language, the attitude displays something else. If it comes forth frankly, politely, it's a different. But when you take it, do what you want. Repeat. You see, the body language speaks to. Yes. So Mr. Soni is entitled to ask the witness to repeat the question, to ask the question.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Yes.
Lord, I can understand my learned friend's anxiety. But my Lord, this witness has adopted this approach. I'll answer the questions that I want. I'll answer the way I want. And I'm entitled to say, but I didn't ask that question. Now, I've got no difficulty with repeating the question. I intend doing that. But I can't be told, just repeat the question.
Yeah, I've made a ruling.
Yes, my Lord.
Yes.
But I just want to indicate that it's not disrespect for the witness, it's respect for the administration of the court. So I'm saying my question to you, Mr. Kanyangela, is this. This is the first time you've heard the allegation that Mr. Stephenson has a motive to implicate the Samaji group.
Yes, it's the first time.
Right. Now, I'm going to suggest to you, if that allegation is correct, then he might well have a motive to implicate the other persons whom he has implicated, other than the Samaji group. That's the proposition I'm putting to you.
Yeah, if he was having a motive, then it could be honestly motive.
Then it will be what?
A honestly motive.
An honest motive. That's what the witness says.
Yes.
An honest motive.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Kanyangela, I don't know what that means in the context, but I'm going to leave it there. Lord, this may be the appropriate time.
Go to la Jane until 2:15.